you this evening, and I hope this Thursday night finds you well. And it's only one more sleep till Friday, and then it's the weekend. Yes, it's the weekend. Thank goodness. Back to club football. And you can always tell when it's an international break. You can't tell when it's always an international break. There's not a lot of news headlines going around, but there's a lot of news headlines with regards to ex-Celtic players. And tonight we want to talk about 3 ex-Celtic players in particular that are making headlines today, as well as the big one, obviously, Chris Sutton. Yep, Chris Sutton has been making headlines because he's been talking about the fact that the game isn't going to be televised this weekend. Yes, the game won't be televised, and to be fair, I'm glad it's not. But before then, I want to talk about 2 Celtic players that, in their own time, were pretty prolific. One of them came through the academy at Celtic, and the other one was brought in by a manager who made him quite good, and then he disappeared down to England thinking he was going to be a fantastic player. But it's a shock who's just signed for it. But before we do, as always, let me just jump into the comment section and say good evening to everyone. First up was Stephen Johnston, who was in the house. Hail Baz. Next up was Desmond Donnelly. Next up is Michael Ross. Paradise Found is in the house. Jim is in the house. Mr. Quinn is in the house. Hazel's in the house. Tam Mac, Michael Ross. Jags, hail troops. I hope you're having a great day. Jerry Castri's in the house. And Sean is in the house. Just this. Andrew's in the house. Good evening, everyone. And Tam Mac. And Paradise Found. The Sceneries is just coming from London. And I am good. Yeah, I'm good. We're out for a nice meal tonight before we did the live. So, yeah. And let's get on to the first ex-Celtic player who has just announced his retirement. And it's crazy to think that this guy is just hanging up his boots because he played for a Celtic, and it feels like a long time, way before Scott Brown played for Celtic, that a young Aiden McGeady played for Celtic. But Aiden McGeady has finally hung up his boots at the grand old age of 38. 38-year-old, he left Ayr United a couple of weeks ago and has now decided to call time on his career, spanning 2 decades. After coming through this youth system, when you think back to the youth system of 2004 under Martin O'Neill, the players that came through at that time, oh, how we would like to be in that situation just now as Celtic. We would love to be in that situation where we would have so many young players coming through. And welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View membership, Gemma. We would love to have players like McGeady come through the system. He came through the system at a time where Martin O'Neill had an abundance of players that was coming through. The young guy for Rutherglen went on to make over 200 appearances for Celtic, scoring only 36 goals, but he was crowned Players Player of the Year in 2008, and he won 4 league titles, 2 Scottish Cups and 1 League Cup during his time at Celtic. He had quite a good time at Celtic, and he was a fantastic winger. He decided to play for Ireland over Scotland, which a lot of fans in Scotland didn't like at the time, and he got a lot of abuse for it. Sunderland put out an announcement saying that Aiden McGeady announced today his retirement from professional football. He played 150 appearances for Sunderland. Wow, Sunderland. I know mates for Newcastle, they hate Sunderland. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, Aiden McGeady then went on to join Hibs, and he was alright at Hibs, but he went on to social media and says, I'm officially calling it a day. He says, I've been fortunate enough to live my dream as a football player, competing in the Champions League, European Championships and the Premier League. I'm deeply grateful to everyone I've had the privilege of playing alongside and meeting throughout the journey. Excited to see what the next chapter brings. It'll probably be television. I've been lucky enough to play for so many great teams in Scotland, England and Russia. Remember, Celtic sold them to the Russians. Brilliant memories at the best clubs, said Aiden McGeady, who hangs up his boots. And it's mental to think that it's 20 years ago. 20 years since Aiden McGeady came through the system at Celtic. And how we would give just to even have a fraction of the players that came through at that time to be coming through the system just now. So anyway, the subscription is flying. Yeah, one of the shorts videos took a jump today. So yeah, and it seems to be a lot of people that hadn't subscribed to the channel subscribed to shorts a lot more. I've seen that on other channels. When you do shorts, your subscriber jumps up, and the algorithm seems to pick up your shorts videos every now and again. I've got one shorts on another channel that's done 15,000 in like 3 days, which is fantastic. But anyway, it's went up massively, and that's okay for last night. It is okay for last night. So it just shows you when some people aren't happy, some people are happy. So take from that what you like. But anyway, next up, having a better day. Desmond says, Desmond, I hope you are having a better day. I've been having the sinus troubles for it feels like weeks now, and I think I've got an allergy to my dog. Yep, who would have thought it? After all these years, you'll all of a sudden have an allergy to your friggin' dog. And it's now trying to get out of the room. Got it? Right, there you go. Go. So yeah, doctor told me I've got an allergy to my dog. Fantastic. Unbelievable. Yeah, so that's Hun Tears. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there's going to be coming news because we're going to be getting some of those actual Hun Tears pint glasses in here. And some more exciting news for us Adidas freaks in the building. I've been told that there's a shop, an Adidas shop here, that's doing some fantastic green Adidas caps. So yeah, Adidas caps. I'm going to get that tomorrow. Baz, pretty soon we'll be calling you Bazcom. Bazcom. Paradise Found says, I think that we'll beat the Dons 4-0 this weekend. I feel it in my water. I don't think, if you look back the previous scorelines over Aberdeen recently, it's been a good few years since we absolutely pumped them. I don't expect it to be a high scoring game. I've just got a funny feeling. I think it might be a 1-0 game or something. I think Aberdeen are going to be quite good. How's the dog's haircut, Baz? Absolutely brilliant, honestly. She's got a number 2 all over. It's a dog. She's a female. You can't give her a number 1, do you know what I mean? So you can't just shave it. The Dons Jed says that the Dons game is going to be either 3-2 or 4-2. Do you think so? Do you think that, I mean, they've not let in a lot of goals over the season. Have you booked your flights to Gaza to help your brothers out? Who are you asking? Paul, Jim. I don't even know who Jim is. Where's Jim in the comments? I don't know. He's all mad. Mr. Quinn saying that he's going to go 2-1. I think it's going to be a tight game, and it will be that. Anyway, the next Celtic player I want to talk about, ex-Celtic player, is a Celtic player that signed for Celtic. It feels like a long time ago. It is a long time ago. He's another player that's 36-year-old, and he's just signed for Kettering Town. Oh, how Gary Hooper. Now, I think that the reason I want to talk about this is there's a thing in life called karma. And if you all remember, right, Gary Hooper wanted to leave Celtic. And Gary Hooper is one of those players that got on the phone to Scott Brown a year later and said, "Oh, Brownie, man, I've made the wrong decision." And he did make the wrong decision because he's just been a journeyman since he left Celtic, hasn't he? But he's finally signed for the England's Southern League Premier Division Central. It's the 7th tier in English football. 7th tier, Kettering Town. I mean, I understand people still want to play football, but surely he would have made enough money throughout his career at 36-year-old to go, do you know what? It's time to go get a real job. Because I'm past my best when it comes to football. And to go for the heights of playing in the Champions League for Celtic and playing at the top level for Celtic, playing in Europe for Celtic, being a prolific goal scorer for Celtic, and it's not going to be the highs of the likes of Manchester United or Real Madrid or, you know, a Barcelona or Atletico Madrid or something like that. But he had aspirations to leave Celtic and going to be in the England team. And that didn't work out at all, didn't it? And now today he finds himself. And the reason that I want to speak about it is because Kettering as a place, it means a lot to me, because I drove down to Kettering around about 2010 for a job interview. It was about 2010, and I drove all the way down for Fife, and it took me about 8 hours to get down there. And I gets into the place, and I basically sat down, and it lasted around about 10 minutes, and the guy that owned the company says, "The job's yours." And I'm like, "But you've not interviewed me." He says, "You've just drove 8 hours down here on a whim for an interview for a job." I said, "I'm just going to give you the job." He says, "Because that takes a lot of balls to do that. There's been many people who have turned it down, and because they had to drive away down here. So he gave me the job." And then he says, "Well, I'll take you to the garage, I'll fill your car up with fuel, and way back up the road you go. You'll get a company car in 2 weeks' time." I was like, it was the most bizarre thing ever. It was an insurance company, and it was the most bizarre thing ever. But anyway, that's the only reason I'm speaking about Kettering. It's because I was like, Jesus, that brings back memories. And the one and only Gary Hooper signs for Kettering Town. Unbelievable. Anyway, we digress. Well, that's the second player that I wanted to speak about tonight. Let's jump into the comment section, because there's some more people joined in. Stephen Cassidy, he's going for 2-0 Celtic. Get the dog's back in. I'm not having to take tablets because you dog. Imagine being allergic to your dog after all these years. Fuck's sake. Hail from Germany. Stephen Cassidy's coming in from Germany. Mr. Quinn's going for 2-1 Celtic. Jed Johnson, he says the Dom's game is going to be either 3-2 or 4-2. Stephen says 2-0. Samak says the dog went into the barber's looking rough, came out looking like a hot dog. You hear what they said about you? Anyway, Haggis Deeps and Hatatis is in the house. Haggis Deeps and Hatatis says, Jay the late Lanky returns. Jay the late Lanky can't come back. We've got Haggis Deeps and Hatatis here. Poor Lanky, just take it. What is going on in the chat? Desmond in 2016 we won 2 back-to-back games at home against the Sheep, 3-1 and 3-0. That's true. Was that back in 2016? When was the big high-scoring game then, Lanky? When we beat them, I think it was a December. Was it 9-0 or something? I can't remember. Well, Baz, big hail, the mighty Celtic into the rotten mob. My favourite score, says Dan Cassie, is going to be 3-1. Wee Kyogo to score a few. Baz, are you going to keep texts? Where did that just go to? Paul should keep the text. Keep the text? What text? You're going to keep the text up on the screen. See if it's better without the text. What, the welcome to the One Celtic Fans view? You want that taken down? Or do you want some more interactive text? What is the subscribers count sitting at? Holy shit. Jesus Christ. Well, there you go. I never even noticed. It's been a good old day. Like I say, YouTube Shorts just do fantastic things to the channel. Hooper probably just loves playing. I think he must be. Gary Hooper is just one of these guys that knows that he's not going to have a TV career or anything. And a lot of players do just keep on playing for the sake of playing. They're not doing it for the money. He's not going to Kettering Town. I mean, he's probably on a couple of £100 a week down at Kettering Town. So he's definitely not doing it for the cash. That's for sure. But it is just for the love of the game. Love of the game. Kettering Town, aka the Poppies. One Celtic fans view, truly amazing, beautiful family, says Mr. Quinn. James is going for 4-0 to the boys. Andrew's going for 5-1 to the Hoops. Peter Larkin is going for 3-0 at least on Saturday with a Kyogo double. I don't know where he's getting all this goodwill for the goal scoring department, because I think Aberdeen are going to put up a fight. When we look at the table, we can't put the table up, SPFL table up here. We put the table up. I mean, Aberdeen have only got 6 goals against all season, which isn't a lot of goals, and you lot think that we're going to put 4 past them. Now, in 7 games, they're not even losing 1 goal a game. They're not even losing 1 goal a game as it stands. I mean, and some of you think that we're going to put 4 past them. I just don't see how I just don't think it's possible, to be honest. When you look at the fact that the goals that we've scored, okay, we've got 22 for and 1 against. They've got 15 for and 6 against. I just think the game's going to be a lot tighter than what we think, and I hope it is. I hope it is a tight game, and I hope it's a good game of football where both teams are having a go for it. Because at that point, do we know that if Aberdeen are going to have any aspirations at all to finish second in the table? Because let's face it, they are looking to finish second. They're not going to finish top. But we want to keep them as close to us as... I would rather keep Aberdeen... There's a poll for you. That's going to be an interesting one. That's going to be a hard one for you to answer. Right, would you rather the sheep close second to a Huns closer to the sheep, or fuck them both? I know what's probably going to win it. That'll be an interesting one. It'll be an interesting one to see how this one goes. Ultimately, I think I'd like to keep the Huns, the sheep, a close second. The closer they can keep them to us means the further down the table that the South Koreans would be. But a lot of people will say fuck them both. But that's the way I thought it might go. Personally, I want to keep the other mob as far down the table as possible. Anyway, we'll leave that and let it just roll. Full with you. Haggis Deeps and Tati. I second that. What's Des talking about? Yes, a poll. Paul says they haven't played us yet, Baz. I know they haven't played us, but I would rather keep them 3 points behind us rather than a Rangers 3 points behind us. That's what I'm saying. But it'll be an interesting one. Bah. Haggis Sleeps in the Tatty says, you could add something to the vote. Couldn't care less who comes in second place. I think we do, really. Because I think that as Celtic fans would love nothing better this season, especially this season, to have Aberdeen finish above Safeco. I think if you're asked, I might ask that on another evening. Keep the Huns down. Well, Haggis Neeps in the Tatty says, Jed, either 3-2 or 4-2. Your legend Kaiser is in the house. They cut our allocation at Pataudry, so I'd heard them at Celtic Park for the triple parade, triple the price. Fleeced them. Yeah, fleeced them. Anyway, Chris Sutton. We spoke about Aiden McGeady and the fact that he's hung up his boots, and the fact that Sunderland put out a little thing saying, well, have a good retirement. You wouldn't see Celtic doing that to an ex-player, but fair play to Sunderland because they've done it to Aiden McGeady. Gary Hooper has joined Kettering Town. The only reason I mention that is I drove all the way down to Kettering once for a job interview. It lasted 10 minutes and then got told I had the job. And I got the job because I drove all the way down there. Anyway, Chris Sutton has been talking about the game this weekend. Celtic do entertain Aberdeen at the top of the table, and it isn't on telly. They're calling it a TV blackout. It's not a TV blackout. Do you know what I mean? The Celtic didn't want to take the 75 grand. Wee Jimmy for Aberdeen brings down his Dons men, and they want to take maximum points, they're saying. Do you? Aye. Celtic do have the goal difference of 21 goals. Aberdeen have the goal difference of 9. However, after Celtic TV, I like how everyone's saying that we opted out of the Premier Sports. We didn't opt out of the Premier Sports. It was never a game. It was never a game that was going to be televised. You have the opportunity in Scottish football to have an extra game added to the Premier Sports schedule. So this nonsense that media types are doing, and Celtic sites are doing it as well. Celtic fan media are all going along this party line where Celtic opted out. It's a term that was brought out by their paymasters, who ultimately work for the Daily Record and all sorts, and the Herald and such. And all these sites are all going along the notion that Celtic opted out of the TV deal. They didn't opt out. It was going to be an extra game. They had the opportunity to have the game televised. And Celtic said no. It wasn't scheduled to be televised. It wasn't scheduled to be televised at all. The only reason is it's now been thought of as being televised because Aberdeen are doing so well in the league. When the TV schedules were brought out, everyone thought that it would have been Kilmarnock that would be up there going on past experience. So that game against the Huns was televised. Celtic Park at Aberdeen, it's never usually televised. We usually televise the away games against Aberdeen. And Celtic were well within their right for the sake of 75 grand. And now for all the Celtic media sites that are saying that Celtic have opted out, they didn't opt out. They said no when they were asked, and for an extra game. Having that extra game would have put thousands and thousands of Celtic fans out of their way to change again, not having a game on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. When was the last time that Celtic had a game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday? In a busy period where Celtic fans have spent a lot of money travelling to away games, having a game back at Parkhead, getting a full house on a 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, letting people get home at a reasonable time on a Saturday, rather than the nonsense of splitting up families on a Sunday just for television, or playing it at some stupid time of 5:45 on a Saturday night, when then people then can't get trains home, they can't get they're late for getting ferries home and etc. And then buses that travel up and down the country are not getting home till well after midnight. On a Saturday, that's just absurd. And I think Celtic have done the right thing. Chris Sutton goes on to say, and he said that despite the 150,000 financial reward, it's funny how it's doubled in the space of a couple of weeks. When you were first reading about it, it was £75,000. And all of a sudden, it's up to 150. And you just wonder who makes these numbers up, because a lot of the Celtic sites, if you look back at it, they were all talking about 75 grand. 3 or 4 weeks ago when it first came out that this game wouldn't be televised. But now they're all saying it was 150 grand. 150 grand to Celtic's absolutely buttons. Let's face it. They went on to say, speaking ahead of the Celtic game, Chris Sutton says, one of the podcasts down south, he says, look, it's Aberdeen game is a surprise. At the start of the season, a contributing factor is nobody expected Aberdeen to be so close to Celtic at the top of the league. He says, my understanding is that it's limited. There are only so many times that TV companies can go to certain grounds in Scotland. Aberdeen at the start of the season, when the new manager came in, I don't think anyone necessarily saw Aberdeen having the start that they've had to the season. It says, Aiden, for starters, it says, well, you've won 13 out of 13 in all competitions. We Jimmy up in Aberdeen is absolutely flying. So it's natural that the TV companies are going to come calling and say, we would like to televise this game because Aberdeen are playing so well. For example, Sky put that particular game on after the split when there were 5 games to go, and it wasn't televised either. Do you know? He says, could you imagine the reaction if that wasn't televised? I think Chris Sutton's trying to play devil's advocate. He says that the TV companies need to be careful with which games they pick, and nobody saw Aberdeen doing so well. But like I say, it's a Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock kick-off as well. I can understand both sides of the story, but Aberdeen fans, as I say, Aberdeen is a long way from Glasgow. I don't care if Aberdeen's a long way from Glasgow. We have guys coming down, travelling up to Celtic from Coventry, from Liverpool, from Blackburn, from Bolton, from further down south, from away up north, from Dublin, from Belfast, all over Ireland. We've got people travelling that have to stay overnight and book hotels. So bugger Aberdeen and the fact that their fans have got to come down. When we go up north to Ross County, we've got to get up there for a 12 o'clock kick-off. We've got to get up in the middle of the night to get the bus at 7 in the morning. But that's okay, is it, Chris? What a nonsense he's talking about. Oh, poor Aberdeen fans having to travel down for a 3 o'clock kick-off. Poor Celtic. You'd never see the media talking about this when Celtic have got to travel up to Ross County, all the way up that stupid road to Ross County for a 12 o'clock kick-off on a Sunday morning. It's absolute bonkers. Absolute bonkers. Anyway, John says, correct Jed, I've got IPTV on my tablet. It's perfect. Brendan told Premier Sports to shove their 75k up their arsehole. Brilliant. Hail. He did that. Kaiser says, 75k is change the game at 6 p.m. from 3 p.m. And now they're coming out and one of the Celtic sites are saying it's now 150. They need to make up their mind because the same Celtic site that I'm reading it off is the one that I got the information saying it was 75 grand 4 weeks ago. So too many Celtic sites on the payrolls, as they say. Anyway, it is not on telly. I don't care. It's on your IPTV stick. If you've got Celtic television, you can watch it on that all day long. So that's Chris Sutton having a say. And anyway, I did a poll asking, and there's only been 71 votes. I thought there would have been more votes considering there's been over 700 people on the live. And I live in Dingwall and I hate the 12 o'clock click-offs. You all say it's Jeffrey. Because you've got to get out of your bed early. You're talking about your IPTV sticks. Yeah, there's over 208 people watching just now, but there are only 75 votes, which means there's maybe a lot of people that aren't subscribed, even though there's a lot of people subscribed today because of YouTube Shorts. I love YouTube Shorts. They're fantastic little things. Anyway, I've got a channel that's just YouTube Shorts. You're not going to find out about it either. Anyway, yeah, so that's been Chris Sutton. So, we spoke about predictions this morning. The Cameron Carter-Vickers update. That should be interesting. Cameron Carter-Vickers, according to a Celtic site that is now quoting a mainstream media site, is saying that Cameron Carter-Vickers has returned to training ahead of Saturday's top-of-the-table clash with Aberdeen. This provides a significant boost to Brendan Rodgers' squad, with the American defender ready to bolster the team as he prepares for a crucial run of fixtures. Celtic are set to host Aberdeen. Blah, 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 blah. The two clubs sit level. Yeah, we know that. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's it. Carter-Vickers has been sidelined since his toe injury. And I'm now sitting looking at the size of Cameron Carter-Vickers' feet. Desmond, what have you started? Who do you think has the bigger feet? Carter-Vickers or Adam Ida? I'm going to finish this poll. I can tell it's a Thursday night. It's crazy night of the week. This one's especially for Desmond Donnelly. This one's especially for Desmond Donnelly and those of a fetish nature on the channel. Because just over a week or so ago, Desmond Donnelly says, have you seen the size of Cameron Carter's feet? It's no wonder he got a sore big toe. And it left everybody on the channel that evening sitting going, what? I know. Even the dogs look at me going, what are you talking about that? What was that? Somebody's feet? Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. But anyway, let's jump into the comments because this is going to be a complete laugh. Joseph says, I'll be watching the game on Saturday with Celtic TV in Florida. Florida, we had who was it we had on from Hong Kong this morning? And she was in her staff room. I forget her name. She wore an ICBC TV yellow polka dot bikini, says Kaiser. Hopes CCV is fit to play. Well, that's the breaking news coming out tonight, that allegedly Carter-Vickers, who has been sidelined with a toe injury because of his massive feet and his big toe, is that in the absence, Summerside and Aaron Trusty is teamed up alongside Scales, and they've done not too bad. So with Cameron Carter-Vickers ready to return to action, will he be brought back into the team for the top of the table clash against these? Jesus, excuse me. When's the wish to do a kiss? Oh my God. I think that's the tablets just kicked in. Yeah, no longer allergic to you, Jenny. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, let's jump back into the comments because this is going to be an absolute cracker, this one. Who do you think has the bigger feet? Cameron Carter-Vickers or Adam Ida? I don't even want to know what's going on in your brains. A lot of you are sick. Joseph will be watching the game on Celtic TV in Florida. We'll be watching the game here in Spain at Sheeran's Bar. And it's a nice wee Celtic owned the bar. It's not a Celtic bar, but it's got a lot of Celtic memorabilia in it. Tamac says, who runs third in the league? Mike Ross says, my wife calls Cameron Carter knickers. Carter knickers. Cameron carpet slippers, a size 14. How do you know he's a size 14? Kaiser. That's even creepier than Desmond. Just saying. Just saying. That's creepy. John said, Diesel Kaiser. They're tiny. Oh, Jesus God, what have we started? I'm even reading some of these comments. You're getting close to the 20. Yeah, I know some strange things happened with the YouTube Shorts today. It was fantastic when I looked at the things. Anyway, and Chris Sutton, we've done that one. We've done the Cameron Carter-Vickers new breaking story. That would be Would you play, tell me in the comment section, would you play Cameron Carter-Vickers over Trusty, even though Cameron Carter-Vickers has been out for a couple of weeks now? He's not 100% match fit. He wasn't up there playing at the standard that he's been at before. Would you take an 80% Cameron Carter-Vickers over 100% Austin Trusty? Kaiser says CCV has a club left foot 4 sizes bigger than another. Jesus. Why are you all talking about feet now? There's something wrong with you lot. Honestly, see the chat on this channel sometimes is just hilarious. It is hilarious. We start off talking about Celtic and everything goes fine for the first 25 minutes or so. And then when I look at the chat, sometimes I'm just going, what the hell are you on about? It's like, you just go off on a tangent. But then I've added to it by saying who do you think has the bigger feet this evening. And it seems that there's only 50 people. Nobody's voting in it. I think people are disgusted that we're talking about who's got the bigger feet, Cameron Carter-Vickers or Aramida. We'll cancel that poll right there and then. And who won it? Where did that percentage disappear to? Cameron Carter-Vickers has won it with 51%. Anyway, he needs to be 100% fit to play. Says Andrew. I think so as well. 100% didn't like Trusty Baz, says Jeff. We like feet, Baz. Shows your toes. I'm not showing me. Somebody will screenshot that, Kaiser. You know how the internet works. Somebody will screenshot it. It'll be made a meme. And before you know it, it'll go viral for all the wrong reasons. It's never going to happen. Not a chance. Not a chance. It shows your feet. There's me sitting on the fucking chair trying to get my big toe out. And the Huns are going, what the fuck's he doing, man? What the fuck's that rocket doing? Fucking feeling bastard. Check the fucking state of this cunt, man. He's got his fucking feet on the fucking what the hell. Anyway, CCV nailed it. Apparently, in the shower, oh, Jesus. 20k toe reveal, not a chance. Evening Baz, makes a change watching you live. Usually 3 hours late, says Craig. We're going to be doing more lives. The poll should be on your OnlyFans Baz. I don't have an OnlyFans. I'm never going to have an OnlyFans. And if there is an OnlyFans out there that's pretending to be me, stop looking at their feet and look at their face. Oh, Jesus. Give CZV 60 minutes and run out. Get the job done. And some match fitness. Get him ready for Wednesday. I think he will get some time on the pitch, but I don't think he'll get 60 minutes. I think that having Cameron Carter-Vickers back will be a big bonus for the team. But it comes with a caveat. Getting him fit for the rest of the season and the rest of the run-in for the Champions League predominantly is paramount, and Brendan Rodgers will know that. What's my dog called? I'm not telling you on this channel. It's just, especially since it's sitting licking its ass. It's fucking disgusting. What's wrong with dogs? OnlyFans Baz. Not a chance. Anyway, right. Oh, this channel just goes so downhill sometimes. Baz OnlyFans is by invite only. You get to see him do that. I think my wife's just broke into Kaiser's account. No, it's not lucky. Who do you think will be midfield on Saturday, Baz? Says Desmond. Right, let's get back to getting some football. Apparently when Cameron... Oh, Jesus. I think who'll be in midfield on Saturday will be the one and only Callum McGregor. I think I'm going to go against what Haggis Neeps said this morning, and he went with Luke McCowan. I think Brendan Rodgers will go out and play what he sees as his most experienced or potentially best team, and it'll be Paulo Bernardo and Arne Engels. Even though Arne Engels wasn't up there kind of doing it, I hope that he's had the past couple of weeks on the training pitch, and if he's been away with his national team, had a bit of a confidence boost. And I think that the manager will look at Arne Engels in training today for definite. Looked at Rio Hatate. The fact that Rio Hatate has just flown back from the other side of the world, he maybe say, do you know what? Do we go for 60 minutes with Rio Hatate to see if he can produce something absolutely brilliant, which we think he can't. Well, we know he can do. It's not think, we know he can do. So for me, it's going to be a shout between either Arne Engels or Rio Hatate that starts. He'll definitely go with Paulo Bernardo, I think. Paulo Bernardo's flying for his national team, under 21s. He scored again last week. He's running about with a certain amount of confidence. When you look at that Portuguese team that played against Scotland the other day, if Paulo Bernardo's the captain of the under 21 Portuguese, you all right there? Bored? Where's your ball? I think that it will definitely be Callum McGregor, Paulo Bernardo, and either Rio Hatate or Arne Engels. I don't think Luke McCowan going into that midfield, I could see him coming on in the second half. I could see two substitutes in the midfield in the second half. Definitely. Whoever starts the game in the middle of the park will not finish it, apart from Callum McGregor. He'll be the one player that does finish it. I think Brendan Rodgers will change it around in the second half, and if Arne Engels starts, he'll take him off and bring on Luke McCowan. If Rio Hatate starts also, I think he'll take him off and bring on someone else. But anyway, it's all for. Make some noise, McCowan would have been a good choice to start versus Ross County. Engels, man for the sheep on a big pitch. Well, that will show you stuff. I think so. I think also the reason that I would play Paulo Bernardo is him and Arne Engels seem to just click, is where Rio Hatate and anybody else in the midfield. I think Rio Hatate misses Matt O'Reilly. Rio Hatate misses Matt O'Reilly more than people realise. I think they had a good connection in midfield, and Rio Hatate has not found that connection yet with either Arne Engels or Paulo Bernardo. Even though Paulo Bernardo was here last season, I just think that Rio Hatate, and that's what's missing in the midfield for me. I think that's what's missing in the midfield is the fact that Rio Hatate just hasn't made that connection with another player, so that they can interchange and everything the way that Brendan likes them to do. James Boy, I worked with the Suckers for 8 years. Kept you on that. That's. Paulo Bernardo did score. Yep, he did that. Scotty Boy says Hatate last 30 minutes. Hatate to come on for the last 30 minutes with McCowan. That'll be interesting if it does. Alistair Johnson or Kuhn aren't missing them, Baz. I know they're not. Alistair Johnston's not going to miss anybody in this Celtic team. He's out there on his own level, and it'll be surprising if we manage to keep a hold of Alistair Johnston. The media are all going crazy about Nico Kuhn and how Nico Kuhn's going to be our next big thing that's going to go for big money, but quietly in the background, Alistair Johnston plays for Canada against some of the biggest teams in the world. And by that I mean South American teams, and he holds his own. And I mean, with the South American tournament, he was in the squad of the tournament. And when you're in the squad of a tournament for their version of the Euros, that's a big thing. And I don't think that we realise how good Alistair Johnston is. And the potential for Alistair Johnston is to go to a team way bigger than Celtic, way bigger. And I'm talking way bigger than a Man United, because they're woeful just now. I'm talking the top team in England, I'm talking about top team in Spain. I think he'll go better than what Joseph Juranovic did. I mean, Joseph Juranovic went to Union Berlin. There's no chance that Alistair Johnston's going to go to Union Berlin. He's going to go, if he leaves Celtic, he's going to go to another team that is in the Champions League every season. Every season, without doubt. He knows that if he goes to this team, they will be in the Champions League. Because that's how good Alistair Johnston is. And I think that we will not realise how good Alistair Johnston is until he's left. And then it's once he's left and we see how easy he slides into a top team in the Champions League that get through to the last 4, the last 8 every year. And I'm talking about that's the level that Alistair Johnston will go to after Celtic. And I think it's only then that we'll realise how good a player he is. Brown Warrior says, I think Hatate is another Mitchell. Whoa. Good for 1 game and 5, and then goes missing for long spells. Another 4. Get him punted. In January. Alistair Johnston's the first pick. He is that. Kyogo and Hatate to score for Celtic 4-1. Says Alex. I'm going to put the table up again, because I don't see how you think that Celtic are going to score 4 goals. Aberdeen have only let in 6 goals all season. So I think that the scoreline, the predictions may be way off. I think it's going to be a tighter game than what it will be. I think it's going to be a really tight game compared to they're going to have a goal, but they're going to be really defensive. That's just went up again, isn't it? Jesus. Right. Michael Ross said there's no bigger team than Celtic has. No, there isn't any bigger team than Celtic. But when it comes to a football perspective, wages and prestige, and the fact that they get to the Champions League later rounds. If Celtic were to become a club, which Brendan Rodgers and Paul Tisdale ultimately think that Celtic can do, if Celtic could go on and progress, and it's an interesting thing with the Tisdale thing, because it wasn't announced that he was given any length of contract, and I wonder if people will ask that: has he got the job as a job offer, or has he been given the position on a contracted term, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, or has he just been given the job? And what is the objective, and what is the long-term planning? Because when you understand what the long-term planning is for, and the reason I'm saying this, when you understand what Celtic's objective is with Paul Tisdale and the longevity of his Celtic career, that then runs in correlation to how long potentially Brendan Rodgers will be at Celtic, because those two things come hand in hand. The way that Brendan likes the stats and everything about that side of the game, and Paul Tisdale's been brought in to do a similar type of thing with growing the football department overall, I think that will give us a little indication on how long Brendan Rodgers might be at the club. If they turn around and say he's got a 3-year contract, it's like, well, what are you expecting him to achieve in 3 years? Do you know, is it a short-term fixed type of appointment? When they brought in, for instance, when they brought back Graham Gordon Strachan, even the dog's pawing at my leg to do something. When they brought back Gordon Strachan, and it was only a 3-month contract to look at the overall football academy. Anyway, that's a chat for another night. Kevin is going for 5-0 Celtic, not a chance. Jerry Cassidy's going for 2-0. Jeffrey's going for 2-0. Kaiser says he thinks it'll be 2-1. I think that's a more realistic scoreline. Craig's going for 2-0 and 0-0 at half time. That is a cracking one, Craig. I think that could be a realistic result. I think it's going to be close at half time. We won't go in at half time all fair and square. And then I think we might just break down Aberdeen in the second half and get the 2 goals. I think we'll get the first one around about the 70th minute, just as Brendan Rodgers makes some changes. And then I think the second goal will come in about the 85th minute. I think it's going to be nervy towards the end of the game, and then Celtic will get the second goal that will calm the nerves, and then the fans will erupt into song, because we know we'll be top of the table and looking down not only on the Rangers but the Aberdeen. Anyway, give Brendan Rodgers a 2-year contract extension, says Jamesy boy. John says, I agree, 3-0, Maida to score first half and 2 in the second. Desmond Donnelly says, Doug's letting your toes. No, it's not, because they've got socks on. Paradise, Paul McGuire says he reckons it'll be 3-2 Celtic. That's me done and dusted for this evening. There's been over 1,120 people watched the live so far. There's only 77 thumbs up, so make sure that you give the video a thumbs up. I'm off. I'll see you first thing in the morning. We'll do a live at 9 a.m. Celtic Park time. And then tomorrow I'm going shopping for a green Adidas hat. I've been told where there's a shop, an Adidas shop not far from me, that sells green Adidas caps. And I'm going to buy 2 of them. So there you go. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.